Is a child's finger painting political? Is like instrumental electronic music political? Are love songs political? Like they can be, but be for real. Not all art is political.
These are children's handprints that were painted on a wall in Gaza by displaced people. Would you consider that political? This is a track called Flutter, where no two bars are the same beat. It was released in response to a 1994 UK law which banned any public performances of music over 120 BPM. And in 2024, a Chechen Minister of Culture limited all music, vocal, and choreographic performances to being between 80 and 116 BPM. I could go on, but essentially the reason why we say art is political is because of two different reasons. One, art is the taking of an intangible human experience and putting it into a tangible form, be it a performance, be it a drawing, be it a piece of music or a film. When it comes to being political, that is in relation to the definition of the word, meaning concerning people. So the reason why we say art is political is fundamentally because art is about what it means to be human, and what it means to be human applies to all people, hence art is political. Personally, I have a lenient definition as to what art is. I would consider a hand gesture to be art because it is a form of expressing yourself by contextualizing an experience, idea, or belief. In some cultures, this means the oneness of God. In other cultures, it means please give me extra time. And in other cultures, it means we are the best. But the important thing is that you are taking an intangible idea and you are providing a finite form to understand it. Whereas most people's definition of art is a highly curated piece of work to be viewed and critiqued by its peers, which is a definition of art, but it is not the total comprehensive definition of what art actually is. It's the same thing with the word political. In today's world, the word political has been conflated with essentially meaning controversial, and people will say things that aren't political simply because they aren't controversial, when in reality they very much are. For instance, Top Gun Maverick, it's a fun film, most people like it. Some people will say it's not political. It's extremely political because it has government funding and resources that make it possible. Some people will say that Star Wars wasn't political when it's an extremely political film, and essentially George Lucas trying to criticize people like Richard Nixon. There's two other things to consider regarding the artistic process and being political. One being that the creation of art in itself can be a political act. There are multiple places where any art that criticizes the state is considered illegal. There are places that ban the playing of music even. If you are a prisoner at Guantanamo Bay and you make anything artistic, it is ordered to be destroyed. The other thing to consider is that even if you're not trying to be creative, even if you're just like, for instance, copying the work of another artist like Vincent van Gogh, you are still going to personally contextualize that within yourself in that process. So I, for instance, write in a very specific way. I write very fast and rushed. If I were to paint someone else's painting, even if I were to copy it almost exactly, it would still have an own personalized touch based off of how I operate, which is really cool. But where does that personalized touch come from? Why is it that I write and paint and draw the way that I do as opposed to somebody else? Why is it that I was drawing and doodling rockets when I was 9 years old in 2008? It's because of things like environment, upbringing, personality. And what shapes environment, upbringing, and personality? Philosophy and political policy, things that are inherently political. So you'll often see people experiencing something like pain and they don't know where it comes from, and they express themselves through things like music and art. For instance, so many Midwestern emo musicians out there. Why? Because people are leaving the Midwest for somewhere else to live. And so people are writing songs about how things aren't the way that they used to be, how they don't feel like they belong, like they feel like things are getting worse. Why are people leaving the Midwest? Because of political reasons. And so again, when you say art is not political, but you don't understand where this art is coming from, it really speaks of ignorance. You can say that a child's painting isn't political, but have you considered how much time, effort, and coordination it takes to create a safe environment for kids to be creative in, as opposed to worrying about their survival? You can say that a love song isn't political, but have you considered how many love songs that you personally enjoy that were actually written by people who weren't able to be in love with each other? When someone says not all art is political, usually they are coming from a place where they are not lacking for artistic representation, where they have not felt a need for art to be created. Because personally, as someone who's mixed race, one of the things that really drives me to be creative is the fact that I don't feel seen or heard, and art is a way for me to express that. This person is also saying it from a place where so many people have fought for so long to ensure that we are allowed to stay creative, to the point of where creating art is not considered a luxury, a privilege, or something unusual. It is considered a natural way of life. That didn't just happen. That happened because people fought for it. So there is a reason why people say all art is political.